Guys, come gather round. There's a politician or something from Philadelphia coming. Come hear what he has to say. What are the primary risks and benefits of adopting this Constitution as proposed? Primary reasons for voting for this Constitution are 1. It will bring both order and unity for the entire nation, as it will prevent states from forming coalitions and fighting against one another, as happened with Greece and then their democracy fell. We should not let that happen to us. 2. It will consolidate all of our armies together into one force, making us much stronger together. And 3. It will separate all the powers between 3 branches of government, the judicial, executive, and legislative, unlike with the Articles of Confederation, where they have 1, and that makes them have tyranny.
One of the primary risks of adopting this Constitution is that having a executive power, like president, will cause nothing to be done that isn't wanted by him. He will be able to have complete control over what laws get passed and don't get passed. He will be able, that combined with the fact that there's no Bill of Rights, will make it so the federal government is able to take complete control over our lives. There will be no more freedom or liberty unless we're able to write things into the Constitution that are protected from people. So another thing is that with no term limits, the government or the president will become like an elected monarch, being re-elected every single election until he dies. This will make it so the one person has complete power.
How does this Constitution address concerns about tyranny or abuse of power? This Constitution will provide safeguards and a well-thought-out plan of checks and balances. It will ensure that the tyrannical leaders that our farmer friend here is talking about can be removed through impeachment of the legislative. And it also provides far more reasonable way of amending itself. And the current Articles of Confederation require unanimous vote, and that will never happen. And so our country will go nowhere under the current legislative.
Giving one man the executive power to override the representatives of the people sounds like a dictator to me. And that I wouldn't want one corruptible man in that place of power for even just a year. Let alone the fact that there is no cap on term limits, that a person can be elected over and over again until he dies. Creating a dictator who does not listen to the yes or no of the people.
How could a strong central government threaten state sovereignty and individual freedoms?
Having a strong central government could be detrimental to the sovereignty of the states. With this Constitution, Congress has the power to pass any law it deems necessary, and that law overrides the laws of the states. That means that people from other states could be deciding how you do things in your home. And with no Bill of Rights, this could be detrimental to the liberty and freedom of the people. This is why we just fought a war with Britain. Let's not believe our government will not do the same.
Why is a strong central government essential for maintaining order and unity? Centralizing the government under one authority will unite the states together. It will prevent power grabs from individual or coalitions of many states, and in general it will provide more order because the government will have more power to tax with representation. That's the best part, guys. It's taxation with representation, unlike what we had under Britain. And this will allow them to pay Congress and provide for the defense of both internal and external affairs, and just we'll have more money to do things as a country as a whole rather than as individual states. How do the checks and balances in the Constitution prevent tyranny? Checks and balances are pretty self-explanatory. Each branch can check the powers of the other two and stop them if they do not deem it necessary or they deem it not something that we should be doing. The judges can review what the other branches do and call it unconstitutional, stopping them. The executive branch and the president can veto the legislative, and they can nominate appointments for the judicial. And the legislative can accept or reject the nominations of the president, and they create laws. Do you believe these checks and balances are sufficient? If not, what would you propose instead?
If we were to ratify this Constitution, it would bring tyranny to our country. We just fought so hard to get away from a government that oppresses its people. And now we want to think that our government will not do the same. These so-called checks and balances will not save the liberty and freedom of but if we were to assume that this Constitution would be ratified and we need to make one change to it, I would say that having the executive power be given to only one person is a good, and not have that person have cap limit of the terms. That would be a great way to have an elected monarch. And that combined with no Bill of Rights would make it so there's nothing saving the people from the government.
Why do you believe the Bill of Rights is unnecessary under the Constitution? Us at the Constitutional Convention decided that a Bill of Rights is dangerous, as by omitting one right, we leave room for the violation of that right, and that we find that to be far more dangerous than if we omit all of the rights together. As the Constitution itself provides only a guideline, and then the states' representations can individually tailor a Bill of Rights for the states, and that would be far more. It will allow the states to have more sovereignty themselves, because each state can have an individually tailored Bill of Rights. And I do want to point out that since the people in power, according to the Constitution, get the power from the people, so if the people's rights are violated, then the people in power will be negatively affected by that. Why do you think the absence of a Bill of Rights is a critical flaw in the Constitution?
As Britain demonstrated just within the past decade, the government has a tendency to suppress its people just to gain more power. Thinking that our government will not do the same is turning a blind eye to the matter at hand. We need, in order to protect our liberty and our freedom, we need to write into the Constitution the unalienable rights of our citizens. Not doing so would be turning a blind eye to where we just came from, and therefore not remembering the mistakes of others. We need a Bill of Rights, or else the government will take complete control over our nation.
How does the Constitution ensure fair representation across states and population? First of all, each state will have the same amount of representation in the upper house of Congress. This will ensure that both big and small states get the same fair representation. In the lower house of Congress, the House of Representatives, there will be much more proportional representation for the population of each state, while maintaining a minimum of 2 from each state, so that the big states do not squash out the little states, and then so that the little states have at least some say, right? Taxation with representation. We do not want to. Do you think the Constitution adequately represents smaller states and local interests?
The best way to accurately represent the people of the United States is to have more representatives in each house. This will make it so that each representative is representing less people. This will help us represent all the people of the United States accurately, because the United States is so large and has multiple cultural and ethnic backgrounds in it. So having one representative represent people from different cultures or races will make it very hard for them to decide which way they want to lean on political and governmental issues. So having more representatives that are able to represent less people will make it easier for everyone to be satisfied with the representation in the federal government.